Hello, everybody. It's Brenda. Today, I'm here to talk to you about grief, the 5 stages of grief. You all know that I've been going through a very difficult time, and this kind of spells it out. The first sign they're saying is the first stage of the theory is denial. Denial helps us minimize the overwhelming pain of loss. We process the reality of our loss. We are also trying to survive our emotional pain. It can be hard to believe we have lost an important person in our lives, especially when many have just spoken with us the previous day or previous week. Our reality has shifted completely into this moment of loss. It can take our minds sometimes to adjust. The this is real. This is the new reality. We are reflecting on the experiences we have shared with this person we lost, and we might find ourselves wondering how to move forward in our life without this person. This is a lot of information to explore and a lot of painful imagery to process. Denial attempts to slow the process down and takes us through it one step at a time rather than risk the potential of feeling overwhelmed by emotions. Denial is not an attempt to pretend that the loss does not exist. We are also trying to absorb or understand what is happening. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now in the denial and acceptance. I'm not really accepting it. So that part, I guess I can say is true. It is now the next one is anger. It is common to experience anger after the loss of a loved one. We are trying to adjust to a new reality, and we are likely to experience an extreme emotional discomfort. There is not much to process. The anger may feel like it allows us an emotional outlet. Keep in mind, the anger does not require us to be very vulnerable. However, it tends to be more socially acceptable than admitting that we're scared. Anger allows us to express our emotions with a less fear of judgment or rejection. Unfortunately, anger tends to be the first thing we feel when we start to release emotions related to the loss. This can leave you feeling isolated in your own experience and perceived and unapproachable by others in moments when we could benefit from the comfort and connection and reassurance, which is another true fact because of my situation. I'm very angry because I don't know how my son died. I don't know the exact date he died. All I know is I reported him missing on the 2nd and they found him on the 5th. So I don't know any of that stuff yet. And I can't really get closure, and it's angering me to no end. I don't know if he froze to death. I don't know if he had a heart attack. I don't know anything. But so, yes, so far I'm agreeing with these. Okay. The next thing is bargaining. When coping with loss, it isn't unusual to feel so desperate that you are willing to almost anything to alleviate or minimize the pain of losing a loved one. Can cause us to consider any way we can to avoid current pain or the pain we are anticipating from the loss. There are many ways we may try to bargain. Bargaining can come in a variety of promises, including God, if You can heal this person. I will turn my life around. I promise to be better if you let this person live. I'll never get angry again if you can stop him from dying or leaving me. When bargaining starts, starts to take place. We are often directing our requests to a higher power or something bigger than we may be able to influence a different outcome. There is an acute awareness of our humanness. In these moments when we realize there is nothing we can be done, influenced to change or a better end result, the feeling of helplessness can cause you to react in a poisoned by bargaining, which gives you a perceived sense of control over something that feels so out of control. While bargaining, we also tend to focus on our personal faults and regrets. We might look back at our interactions with the person we are losing and note all the times we felt disconnected or may have caused them pain. And it is common to recall times when we may have said things we did not mean and wish we could go back and behave differently. We also tend to make the drastic assumption that things had played out differently. We would not be in such an emotionally painful place in our lives. That's also what I'm feeling. Now, the next one is depression. During our experiences of processing grief, there comes a time when our imagination calms down and we slowly start to look at reality of our present situation. Bargaining is no longer feels an option, and we are faced with what is happening. We start to feel the loss of our loved one, and more abundantly as our panic begins to subside. The emotional fog begins to clear and the loss feels more present and unfavorable. In those moments, we tend to pull inward and sadness grows. We might find ourselves reacting and being less sociable and reaching out less to others about what we are going through. Although this is a very natural stage of grief, dealing with depression after the loss of a loved one can be extremely isolating. Then there is acceptance. When we come to a place of acceptance, it is not that we no longer feel the pain or loss. However, we are no longer resisting the reality of our situation, and we are not struggling to make something different. Sadness and regret can still present in this phase, but emotional survival tactics or denial, bargaining, and anger are less likely to be present. Well, I haven't made it there yet. Types of grief. As we consider the 5 stages of grief, it is important to note that people grieve differently. You may or may not go through each of the stages or experience each of them in order. The lines of the stages are often blurred. We may move from one stage to the other and possibly back again before fully moving into a new stage. In addition, there's no specific time period to suggest for those stages. Someone may experience those stages fairly quickly, such as a matter of weeks, where another person may take a months, even years, to move through to a place of acceptance. Whatever time it takes for you to move through those stages is perfectly normal. So remember that when someone is grieving and you say, oh, well, it's been a year. Well, it's been a year, but this person has been with this person. I can't explain it. It's just your heart is just ripped out. Your pain is unique to you. Your relationship to the person you lost is unique, and emotional processing can feel different to each person. It is acceptable for you to take the time you need to remove any expectations on how you should be performing as you process your grief. Additional models. Although the 5 stages of grief developed by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is considered one of the most easily recognized models of grief and bereavement, there are other models of grief to be noted as well. Each model or theory works to explain patterns of how grief can be perceived and processed. Researchers on grief and bereavement hope to use loss of loved ones as well as offer information that can help in the healing professions provided effective care and in need of informed guidance. The attachment theory of grief. Legendary psychologist focused his work on researching the emotional attachment between a patient and a child from where his perspective. These early experiences of attachment with important people in our lives, such as caregivers, help shape our sense of safety and security and conditions. Then we have shock and numbness loss. In this phase feels impossible to accept, most closely related to Ross's stage of denial. We are overwhelmed when trying to cope with our emotions, yearning and searching. As we process the loss in this phase, we may begin to look for comfort and fill the void our loved one has left. We may try to do so by reliving memories through our pictures and by looking for signs from the person you feel connected to. In this phase, we become very preoccupied with a person we have lost. Despair and disorganization. That's me right now. We may find ourselves questioning and feeling angry in the phase of the realization that our loved one is not returning, feels real, and we can have a difficult time understanding or finding hope in our future. You may feel a bit aimless in the phase and that we regret from others as we process our pain. Recognition and recovery. In this phase, you feel more hopeful that hearts and minds can be restored. Acceptance stage, sadness or losing our loved one doesn't disappear. However, we move towards healing, reconnecting with others for support, finding small ways to reestablish a normalcy in our daily lives. So that's all I wanted to do is read that and maybe it can help somebody. But I have been going through this now for it's been a month, and I'm still very sad, very depressed, very. I try to get on YouTube. Sometimes it makes me feel better, and I'm feeling really depressed. Yesterday I didn't get out of bed. There are times when I can get up. I'm dressed today. I took a shower, thank God. But it's been a long, hard. I just can't explain the feelings. And everybody does. They grieve in their own way. So if you see somebody grieving, be careful how you talk to them and be very sensitive to their feelings because they are hurting. And I'm telling you, I can't explain how bad I'm hurting. But I just wanted to get that in. Thank you all for watching, and maybe I'll go live one day this week. Until then, bye.